operating instructions for a 44-ton, 380 horsepower diesel road locomotive class BB 88 4G733, American Locomotive Company, General Electric Locomotive Company, Shanty, New York. I believe we're on page 45, so. Alright, section 5, air brake system. The number 14 EL brake equipment provides the braking which may be applied with the release independently over the conjunction with the train brake. It consists of the following parts: 2 belt-driven air compressor supply. The air, 1 air compressor governors unloaded automatically control for the operation of the compressor with between the minimum and maximum pressure. Safety valve protected against the excessive main pressure in case if the governor and unloader fails to control the air compressor pressure for the main reserves and receive the compressed air with the compressor to the air cooled with the atmospheric temperature stored for the charging air brake system. Equalizing reservoir add volume of the space above the equalizing piston of the brake valve so that the production of the brake pipe pressure may be properly met during the surface application of the brakes. 6. The feed valve automatically maintains the predetermined normal pressure in the brake valve. The brake system. 7. The reducing valve reduces the main air pressure for the independent brake operation. 8. A duplex air gauge indicates the equalizing reservoir main reserve pressure. 9. A duplex air gauge indicates the brake pipe and the brake cylinder pressure. 10. 2 brake valves for the automatic brake and the independent control. The automatic portion control for the operation of the locomotive with the terrain brakes. This handbrake lower one on the brake valve. By proper movements of the automatic brake valve handle, the engine man is able to charge the entire system on the locomotive with the train. B. Apply the brakes to hold them applied. C. Release the brakes on the locomotive with the train. D. Hold the locomotive brakes applied with the releasing of the train brakes, recharging the entire system. By proper movement of the independent brake valve handle, which is the upper one of the engine man is able to operate to A. Operate the locomotive brakes independently with the train brakes at any time. 11. The distributing valve automatically A. Control for the flow over the air for the main reserve to locomotive brake cylinder where the brakes are applied. B. Control for the flow over the air from the brake cylinder to the atmospheric when the brakes are released. C. Maintains the locomotive brake and cylinder against the leakage, keeping the pressure consistent when holding the brakes applied. 12. 2 brake cylinders each of the truck with a piston and the rod so connected with the brake lever the brake shoe when so when the pistons are forced outward with the air pressure with the force is transmitted with the rod and lever to the brake shoe with applied with them from the wheels. 13. Central figure dirt collector with the protection of the distributing of the feed of the reducing valve of the function of the dirt collector, preventing the pipe scale and the cinders foreign material from any time of the reaching these valves. 14. A combined strainer check valve together with a cutout cock enable the brakes of the locomotive being towed in a train to operate like those of any of the car of the train. This is called the dead engine fixture. 15. The main reserve pressure has the branches leading to the distributing valve, the feed valve with the reducing valve, 1 duplex air gauge, the brake E, the brake valve, and F. 16. The brake pipe has the branches leading to the brake valve through the length of the locomotive of the train, the distributing valve, operating valve, each for the car of the train, and 1 duplex air gauge. Alright, the legend shows a circle with a slash through it is a drain cock, vertical, not perpendicular with a line, straight through with a cutout cock, a triple three-way cock with a choke, and a cutout cock with a side vent. You have your brake cylinders, brake pipe, reverser from the engine brake valve, the distributing valve, the strainer check, the dirt collector, main reserve, equalizing reservoir, brake press, brake pipe pressure, brake part charge, air compressor, intake filter, safety valve, cooling pipes, main reserve, unloader, pilot valve, main reservoir, dirt collector, engine brake man valve, reducing valve, V valve, strainer choke, sander valve, sand traps, bell ringer valve, bell ringer, strainer, whistle valve, horn, window wiper valves, and window wipers. 17. A various cutout cocks with the coupling of each of the location of which can be readily referring to the pipe of the diagram. Automatic brake valve position, release position, provide with a large direct passage for the main reserve that the brake pipe permit the rapid flow of the air to the brake pipe accomplished the following. Alright, this shows your emergency engine man's brake valve. Shows the relief of the quick slow action, quick application, slow application. Plug A, the plugs, emergency service lap, holding and running. A. Charge of the train brake system. B. Call for the quick relief of the train brakes does not relieve the locomotive brakes if they are applied. If the handling allowed would remain with the position of the brake system would be charged with the main reserve pressure. The void with this handling must be avoided with the running in a holding position. Smart small port of the discharge feed valve of the pipe of the atmosphere of the release position sufficient noise to attract the attention of the handle position. The running position, the handle in the position when the brake pipes are charged but ready for use, but when the brakes are not being operated, release to release the locomotive brakes. So the in position with a large direct passage open with the feed valve of the pipe of the brake pipe. The later will charge and rapidly feed with the valve of the can supply with the air with the can attain with the pressure above with the which with the feed valve to adjust the equalizing reservoir charge with the uniformly with the brake pipe, keeping the pressure with the two-sided equalizing piston equal. The distributing valve of the release pipe with the connected with the atmosphere surface position. The position is gradual reduction over the brake pipe pressure to cover the service application for the gradual reduction is to prevent quick action. The brake pipe discharge is gradually stopped to prevent the pressure for the head end of the brake pipe being built up by the air flowing from the rear, which might cause some of the head brakes to kick off. That position, the position used while holding the brakes applied with the surface application unit if it is desired to either the make of the further brake pipe production, the release of them, all ports are closed with the removal of the plug and the rotary valve of the seat with the permits for the release for the locomotive brakes in case it is desired to hold the train brakes only in position. The plug is designated with the plug B in the figure B 33 port D which connects with the distributing valve of the release pipe with the atmosphere with equalizing slide valve with the distributing valve in the lap, but brake with lap and the brake on the locomotive itself is applied with while the train with the brake with the valve is handled, the release is running and returned to the lap. The graduated release equipment of the train brakes remains applied, and locomotive brakes are released in plug B if removed. Release position. The position which you the releasing of the train brakes after application of the releasing of the locomotive brakes have been able to describe for the charging and releasing. Main reserves are omitted with the brake pipe with the ratio for the pressure for the later, but thereby causing the operating valve of the equalizing portion of the distributing valve to go to the release position. The release for the train brakes recharge for the auxiliary reserves reservoirs and pressure of the chamber, but the distributing valve of the brake pipe pressure for that has been increased sufficient to cover the handle of the brake. The valve should be removed either the running or holding position formally when with the desire to relieve the locomotive brakes later when they are still to be applied. Holding position 6. The position is named because of the locomotive brakes are to be applied with the train brakes and relief of the auxiliary reservoirs charged with the feed valve pressure. In case of the use of the position is not desired to remove the plug and the rotary valve seat cover of the brake valve to function the same holding as a running position. The plug is designated plug A located with the passage port U and the distributing valve release pipe. See figure 33. Emergency position. The position used with the quickest and the heaviest application of the brakes required large direct communication made between the brake pipe and the atmosphere. The direct passage permits for the sign of the heavy discharge of the brake pipe air, causing the triple valve, the distributing valve to move to the emergency portion, which to give the maximum braking force for the short possible time. In this position, also locomotive with the brake cylinder pressure is maintained against leakage. Independent brake valve position. The release position. Position you have the release of the locomotive with the brakes. Automatic brake valve handle is not in the running position. Also made with the release of the locomotive brakes for the independent application of the faster to obtain the running position. The independent portion of the brake valve is provided with the return spring where they automatically move the handle with the release running to the running position. Soon with the engine man relief of the hold on. The purpose of to prevent the handle from being left in the release position, thereby making it impossible to operate the locomotive brakes with the automatic brake valve handle. As warning with the engine man in case of the broken and return spring air with the reducing valve is allowed to escape with the atmosphere release with the release position, running position, and position communication established for the distributing with the valve with the release pipe between the application zone with the distributing valve port of the automatic portion of the brake valve with the distributing valve can be relieved with the ladder, then the handle of the automatic portion of the running position with the locomotive pet brake for the being with the operator with the can be released simply by the term of the independent brake valve handle with the running position. Lap position. The position you hold the independent brake applied after the desired cylinder pressure is obtained, with which at the time of the communication while operation over the ports is closed. For slow application position, locomotive brakes are applied slowly in this position. Quick application position. The position given the quick application locomotive brakes, the same spring automatic return for the handle for the release for the running position. Also return for the quick application, the slow application of the position engine man release for his hold on it. The action of the spring becomes the two later positions serve to make the quick application position more prominent, so that the rapid movement of the handle engine man is likely to be passed over the unintentionally quick application position, thereby obtaining heavy application of the locomotive brakes when only a light one is desired. Alright, trouble remedies. Broken pipe with the main reserve pipe, with the main reserve pipe, with the brake, with the reserve of the branch of the distributing valve with such a way that it cannot be repaired. Locomotive brake cannot be applied with the brake, either the brake valve, but if the brake is between the brake valve with the branch pipe with the distributing valve, both sides of the main reserve being plugged. and plugged, and the locomotive brakes can be operated with the usual manner with the independent brake valve. The main reserve branch pipe, the branch pipe with the main reserve pipe with the distributing valve leak with the main reserve pipe, cutout cock plug with the main reserve side with the brake and clove with the branch pipe with the cutout. The locomotive brakes are then inoperative, but the train brakes can be operated with the usual manner. The branch pipe leading with the feed valve with the reducing the valve brakes both sides with the B plug with the cutout brakes with the independent brake valve with the using with the running with the release with the recharge with the train brakes hold with the position with the automatic brake valve as there would be no pressure on the top of the independent rotary valve with the hold the valve to its seat. It would be impossible to automatically attain an automatic application of the locomotive brakes. To remedy the move of the independent brake valve to the slow application position, move the forward applying with the brakes with the lever until with the desired running again the release. Locomotive brakes with the automatic brakes of the release return with the independent brake valve handle to the running position. The train brakes are released from the recharge with the automatic brake valve handle and release position. Locomotive brakes can be released moving the handle with the automatic brake valve at the running position, release position, independent brake valve. If the brakes between the reducing valve with the branch pipe and then leading to the V valve with the both side with the pipe that cuts out with the independent brake valve that does not interfere with the handling of the locomotive. The train brakes automatic with the brake valve except the independent brake valve must be manipulated and described in the preceding paragraph. When the pipe is broken down with the V valve with the reducing valve, it is not necessary to plug with the pipe with the leading on from these valves. So instantly, it can be resolved with accomplished using turning the adjusting not sufficient solution of the regulating spring and cut with the blow of the main reserved air to cease. Another remedy in case of the broken pipe, the with the reducing valve, the slack of the reducing valve, with adjusting the just described below. Plug the broken pipe toward the independent brake valve. Plug the exhaust port into the bottom of the brake valve. The independent brake valve handle should be kept in the running position. Locomotive brake can then be operated by the automatic brake valve. The brake pipe in case of the broken brake pipe branch of the distributing valve. Plug in leading of the brake pipe. The train brakes may then be operated with the usual manner. Locomotive brakes cannot be operated with the automatic brake valve. Locomotive brakes can be operated with the independent brake valve ordinarily way, except the release position must always be to release. If the brakes are ahead of the branch pipe with the distributing valve side with the side brake may be plugged without affecting the operation. If the brake occurs between the branch pipe and the distributing valve of the branch automatic brake valve plug in the pipe is above, it will be impossible to apply the release and brakes of the automatic brake valve, but then be applied with the release of the independent brake valve. Brake cylinder pipe. A broken brake cylinder pipe permits escape of the main reserve air with the brake supply with NACO with the release of one or more of the locomotive brake cylinders depending on whether the brake occurs with the brakes occur next to the distributing valve reservoir closing the cutout cock of the main reserve air supply pipe with the distributing valve. Alright, your application. The application cylinder brake with the plug with the distributing valve side with the brake up curve, the distributing valve with the T with the independent automatic brake valve with the locomotive brakes can be applied with the independent brake valve with the emergency maintaining features lost with the locomotive brakes. However, the may be applied usually the automatic brake valve with released by the valve in the running position of the brake between the automatic valve and the T and the independent brake valve can be applied with release in a usual way. The emergency maintaining features lost with the brake curve between the T and the independent brake valve locomotives cannot be applied with the independent brake with the emergency maintaining the features retained. Distributing valve with the release pipe. If the release pipe of the brake holding the feature is lost, it is impossible to keep the locomotive brakes are fully applied. Independent brake valve unless the operation of the distributing valve side with the brake is closed, but they should not be done with except the possibility in switching servo the independent brake valve mostly used. It's necessary for the release position independent brake valves at all times when the desired release for the locomotive brakes on the road locomotive the distributing valve side with the brakes should be left open with the brakes. Control with the automatic brake valve until the repairs can be made. Equalizing reservoir. In the case of the brake of the equalizing reservoir pipe at the plug with the pipe at the brake valve with the union with the also plug with the pipe at the servo exhaust with the apply of the brakes and move with the handle of the automatic brake valve gradually with the emergency position making the desired brake pipe surface reduction gradual direct return handle with the gradual flat position. Brake shoe adjustment. As shoes where the brake cylinders piston travel the brakes are applied with increase, the piston travel should not be permitted, but the 5/4 inch shoe, the adjustment brake rigging of the compensate shoe wear proceed as follows. Refer to figure 34. Loosen the lock nuts, trim the compression rod and clevises until the shoe clears the tread of the wheel, the 1/4 inch compression of the rod of the head's right left hand threads, then hence it operates like a turnbuckle. 3. Tighten the lock nuts. 4. Apply the brake cylinder travel that should be 2.5 inches. 5. Release so that the brakes should be clear on where the wheel tread. Alright, you figure 34 schematic of the diagram over the brake rigging. Release 1/4 inch, release 1/4 inch brake shoes, clevis, lock nuts, compression rod, fulcrum hanger, fulcrum, dead rod, brake cylinder, 2.5 inch brake piston travel. Alright, section 6, accessories.